A dividing line is forming in Congress as a high-ranking Democrat senator called for bipartisanship support of the Justice Department and Special Counsel Robert Mueller. While on the other side of the Capitol, some Republican members are looking to take on DOJ leadership. FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe is slated to be interviewed behind closed doors by the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees today. This after his 8 hours of testimony at the House Intel Committee lasted until 10 p.m. Tuesday night. Politico reports on secret meetings by a group of House Republicans focused on corruption and bias in the upper ranks of the Justice Department and FBI. Led by Chairman Devin Nunes of California.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait. This clown is questioning, show his picture. Because he just made a total absolute fool of himself this year. This clown is the one that is going to be questioning the integrity of the FBI. This guy that allowed himself to play the dupe for the White House and go back and forth and hold press conferences without getting information first and then running into the White House and then being pulled around like a little puppet. This is the clown that is questioning the integrity of the men and women of the Federal Bureau of Investigation that put their lives on the line every day for us? Oh, my God. Unbelievable, Willie. All right.
They want to put out a report early next year that talks about a conspiracy at the upper reaches of DOJ and the FBI. It's reportedly an effort to build the case that senior leaders improperly and perhaps criminally mishandled the contents of a dossier on alleged ties between President Trump and Russia, according to 4 people familiar with the group's plans. They say the group is relying on the same documents and testimony provided by top Obama administration officials who were grilled as part of the Intel Committee's Russia probe. Republicans in the group suspect the FBI and DOJ have worked either to hurt Trump or to aid his former campaign rival Hillary Clinton. They reportedly hope to release a report early next year detailing their concerns. Meanwhile, the Senate Intel Committee's Vice Chairman, Democrat Mark Warner, made an impassioned plea on the Senate floor yesterday in support of Robert Mueller.
In recent days, the president said he is not considering removing Special Counsel Mueller. But the president's track record on this front is a source of concern. I'm certain that most of my colleagues believed that he wouldn't fire Jim Comey either. Congress must make clear to the president that firing the special counsel or interfering with his investigation by issuing pardons of essential witnesses is unacceptable and would have immediate and significant consequences.
Let's bring in now New York Times reporter Michael Schmidt on this story. Michael, so there has been legislation proposed over the last several months in Congress to protect Bob Mueller from firing. It hasn't gone anywhere. What is Senator Warner after here? Is he just putting up the red flare, or is there actually going to be some legislation proposed here?
I think it'd be very hard to see any type of legislation because I don't think the Republicans would get behind it. And they've sort of been quiet on this issue, far quieter than him. The president's in an interesting position. The White House has said that Mueller was going to be done by Thanksgiving, then Christmas, now early next year. And I think this was an effort by the president's lawyers to keep him at bay and to keep him from attacking Mueller and from firing Mueller. So the interesting question in which Warner is sort of heading towards is what's going to happen when the president realizes that Mueller's not going to clear his name. We have to remember that Mueller was appointed because Comey wouldn't say publicly that the president wasn't under investigation. And I think that's what Democrats are afraid of.
Hey, John, you've said before that you believe that Donald Trump is looking for any excuse to fire Mueller. And these sad, pathetic little Republicans that are screwing around, trying to do his business and subvert the rule of law while attacking the men and women of the FBI. You think that the only reason they're doing this is to give Donald Trump cover to subvert and obstruct an investigation that's already led to the arrest of his campaign chairman and his national security advisor?
I wouldn't say the only reason. I think there's a concerted, we've talked about this in the show now for a couple of weeks, we're witnessing a concerted, coordinated effort to try to undermine this entire investigation, from Mueller to the FBI to the Department of Justice, to make this all seem as though it's a corrupt enterprise, that it is, as Trump alleges, a rigged deal, a rigged system. We're hearing this, that it's a witch hunt, that it's a hoax. All of those arguments that Trump has made, the people, his henchmen and cronies on Capitol Hill now, and obviously in conservative media, are all singing from that songbook. They're attacking the FBI, they're attacking Mueller. He's not yet personally started to attack Mueller, the President of the United States. But this is an extraordinarily dangerous thing that's happening in the House. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, who has recused himself from the Russia matter, Devin Nunes, has now, it turns out, is running a splinter group that is using the classified documents that the House Intelligence Committee is gathering in order to investigate Russia and its potential collusion with the Trump campaign in the election. They're using those documents to build a counter.
Has he recused himself or not?
He's recused himself from running the Russia hearing, but he's still the chairman of the House Ethics.
But he was so compromised that he recused himself from the Russian investigation, but now he's acting as a sort of inspector general of the Russia investigation.
That's a more exalted and legitimizing phrase that I would use. He's running a rogue splinter group that's using the classified intelligence that's being gathered to try to investigate collusion and Russia's role in the 2016 election, instead to use that material to try to tar the FBI and Bob Mueller, to try to soften them up for either Donald Trump firing Mueller, Donald Trump, the argument going forward about whether impeachment is going to happen, about whether there are pardons that Trump is going to put forward. They are now engaged not just in a media campaign, but in trying to fundamentally subvert what the House Intelligence Committee is doing.
All right. So listen, let me just tell you, Republicans, children, you're out of your league. You're playing way out of your league. Bob Mueller is several steps ahead of you, and you will destroy your majority for years to come. If you want to do it, it's your business. I think Americans would probably be comforted with you out of power for a very long time, and you're president with a 33% approval rating. But Michael Schmidt, I'm a little confused. I'm just a dumb country lawyer, but I thought this FBI was the same FBI we heard last week had warned Donald Trump during the campaign about the Russians trying to interfere with his campaign.
Yeah, I think that you can't underestimate the impact that these disclosures about Pete Strzok, the top counterintelligence agent at the FBI, with these text messages he was exchanging, it has really given the Republicans a talking point to attack the FBI in a way that they didn't have before. And it has really become the rallying cry, and I think has encouraged them and enthused them that maybe there is a way that they can undercut Mueller by
Michael, help me out here.
Help
me out here. It seems to me that they're just throwing whatever they can, like monkeys throwing poo against the wall. Last week, it was Textgate scandal. And then we found out, actually, that those texts were improperly released, and actually they were attacking Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton as well. That's okay, so they move on to something else. Like, what exactly is the scandal? They're just making things up every week.
Well, they're trying to find anything they can to raise questions about the FBI's credibility in this entire thing, which is sometimes funny considering how much the Democrats raise questions about the FBI's treatment of Hillary Clinton. But what they're doing is they have all these text messages, and it allows them to throw a lot of stuff at the wall. And, you know, with their base, if you look at the conservative media, a lot of this has stuck, and a lot of it has really taken hold. And that they will continue to use that as they try to show the political of the Bureau as they continue to investigate, as that report just pointed out.
Josh, this is what Donald Trump does when he sees trouble coming down the tracks. Go back to October, November of last year when his campaign felt pretty confident was going to lose the election. People forget this. They talked about how it was rigged. The election was rigged. There was questions on Election Day whether he was going to respect the outcome of it. So when he knows something bad or he thinks something bad is coming, this is what he does. He softens the target, calls into question the credibility of the source of the information. So clearly he, and now with the aiding and abetting of some Republicans on Capitol Hill, is softening the ground for what's coming from Bob Mueller.
Yeah, Willie, I think that's exactly right. It's not a mystery what they're trying to do here. But I do think it is worth us just remembering for a second as painful as it is for Democrats, what happened in 2016. What happened in 2016, and I know, speaking from my personal experience, of standing at that White House podium, repeatedly being asked about news reports sourced to anonymous officials at the Department of Justice and the FBI about the latest on the Hillary Clinton investigation. And oh, by the way, those news stories were never good for Hillary Clinton. So it's very hard to suggest that there is some sort of internal conspiracy to tear down Donald Trump when all the leaks during the election were about Hillary Clinton, when the questions about the way Jim Comey handled the investigation were not about how he handled the Trump investigation, but about how he handled the Clinton investigation. And let's remember, we only learned after the election that Trump himself was actually under investigation. And the dossier that Republicans like to talk about a lot, that also came out after the election. So it's really hard.
A dossier first generated by right-wing money and by supporters, I believe, I may have this wrong, but I think it was supporters of Marco Rubio. I could be wrong. But the dossier was started from the right. Another thing, too, Comey, if Comey had not released the letter 10 days before the election,
right,
any neutral observer will tell you, and I'll say this just so Democrats have a reason to be angry with me, Vladimir Putin didn't impact this election. Nobody was stealing enough votes in Wisconsin to steal this election. Jim Comey changed the outcome of this election. FBI Director Jim Comey, after the FBI went after this in a way that never allowed Hillary Clinton to gain her footing. So we were very critical of Hillary, so it's not like we're giving her a free pass here. Right. I'm just saying, for Republicans now to say, oh, the FBI is political, that's really rich.
Well, here's the other punchline here, is that in the midst of all this stuff, Comey's extraordinary news conference in the day after the 4th of July, Comey's testimony before Congress that took hours and hours in which he talked about the investigation, Comey's letters before Election Day, never once did President Obama or anybody else senior in the White House or in the administration question Jim Comey's neutrality. We believe that he was doing the best that he could, and nobody suggested that he was part of some sort of internal plot to undermine Hillary Clinton, which makes it particularly outrageous that Republicans now want to have it the other way.
Even though his actions, Mika, led to the election of Donald Trump.
Let's button up this discussion with this. The FBI Agents Association, which represents thousands of current and former agents, released a statement in the wake of recent criticism from the president and others. It reads in part, "Controversies of the day fade, but the sworn duty of special agents endures. Special agents are focused on the Constitution and protecting the public. Their work should be recognized, not denigrated."
And we do recognize that work, and I know everybody to a person around this table thanks the men and women at the FBI for what you do, whether there's a Democratic president or a Republican president. Thank you for your service to America.
Michael Schmidt, thank you very much for being on this morning.